In this video I will show how to install a virtual machine using VirtualBox for local development. So I will create a new virtual machine instance for an example with PHP. I will choose a 64-bit distribution. And I will do some further settings. I will remove the floppy. I will choose my Ubuntu 64-bit ISO image. I will select the adapter one as a bridged adapter and the second one as a host only adapter. I also have created a folder here which I will add here. Going here into the preferences in the network, I have set up a host-only network called bbox.net 0, and the definition for that is as it's shown here. The most important thing here is the segment. And that's all. So I will start the installation. I will choose English here and I will start installation. I will choose English as language, other location, the locals, the keyboard map, since my network adapter 1 was set to bridge adapter, I will choose ETH0 as my primary network interface. The second one will be set up later. I will choose the host name, my username, and a password 123 for instance. I will tell it that I want to use a weak password. I don't want to encrypt my home directory. This zone is correct. And this is completely up to you. I will choose guided, use the entire disk because this is a simple example, but you can choose whatever you want, and more further if you have another disk for this virtual machine or a bigger disk definition. This is the disk where I want to set the partitions, and I will write changes to disk. In the meantime, I will do some configurations into my host machine. So the first one is that I want to modify my etc host. And I will set the IP address for that machine. I will set this one to 30, and I will change this to example. I will overpass the proxy. I also will create a config file for my SSH connections. Where I define the host name, a user, and the remote server. That's all. I don't want my virtual machine managing automatic update, so I will choose no automatic update. And since this is a generic example, I don't want to use any of these tasks to install additional software, so I will just continue. And I will wait till the system finishes the installation. Another thing that I want to do in the meantime is getting a copy of PHP framework. So I will choose this Cake PHP, which is good for me for this example. So I will paste this, and I will set the example folder to host that. So the idea is that I want to have my code in my host machine, so I can modify it whatever I want without having the machine up. The final step here is to install the group bootloader, so I will accept this, and I will finish with the installation. Now I have my code here. I will remove any reference to Git. there is no information about our repository here. Okay, the installation is complete, so I will restart the machine. And the first thing to do is to update the definitions for the repositories, also upgrading the current system, and I will install the SSH software. I will choose the VirtualBox Guest Edition CD for the version I actually running. Now I don't want to always have to type my admin password to perform admin tasks, so I will remove the password prompt for sudo actions. So I will type sudo vsudo, and I'm gonna go to the end of the file, and I will include my user, and I will just write this line here. I will exit, saving those changes, and now I will restart the machine. The next thing is to add the information of the second network adapter to the system, so I can connect from my host machine to the virtual machine. So I will modify the definition in the network interfaces file. And here is where I want to define that. The first thing is telling the system that this interface should automatically get up when the system starts, so I'm including that here. And here's the interface definition. So I want this network interface to be static. I will assign a static IP address, as I have defined it here in my host file. And that's all. The next thing is to create a folder, a hidden folder called SSH. And a folder that will serve as a mounting point for the code I'm hosting in my own machine. I have two options here. Right now I have just a ETH0 interface, so I could restart the virtual machine or simply starting the interface. So here is the definition. I can see here the INET address password, the INET address, so I can reach that server from my host machine. And there is the answer, so everything is okay. I will restart this. And I have the need to keep this in front of me. I just will minimize it, and the rest of things I will do will be in my own console. So the first thing is to connect to the virtual machine for the first time using this approach. SSH, the username, and then the host. I will remove this. I will try it again. And it is asking me for my password. So the first thing I have to do in order to having this machine avoiding asking me my password every time I want to connect is creating an authorized file called authorized keys. And the content of that file will be the public key information. And that's all. I will close this and I will close the connection, and now I just simply have to type SSH example Okay, there is something wrong here. It's missing an S here. And again. There you have. There is no need to type the password again to connect to the machine. Now I need to install a couple of things to get my virtual machine working with the VirtualBox guest additions. So I will install some packages, the KMS and Build Essentials, as well as Linux headers. And the tip here is to use a variable to complete the Linux headers I need to install, and that's all. It will install a bunch of packages that I need to get the system working together, the VirtualBox additions. And the idea is that I have this folder here where my code is going to live, and I just defined this as a shared folder for my virtual machine, so VirtualBox knows that I want to map that folder somehow in the system. Okay, I just added the VirtualBox guest addition image here in the virtual machine. So the next thing is to mount the CD-ROM in a folder. I will mount that in the MNT folder, but this is an action that only an admin can perform, so I just repeat the action with sudo. Now I'm going to that location, and here is here are the files within the CD-ROM. So I will just run this. and eventually this is going to show an error, but there is no problem with that at all. Despite it is showing that message, the VirtualBox guest additions are properly installed. And that's all. Now I'm going to install some packages to get my example working. So I will install Apache 2, PHP 5, leave Apache 2, mod PHP 5, MySQL server, MySQL client, and also PHP 5 MySQL, and that's all. It will add some additional packages and I will accept that. I will choose a simple password here for MySQL, 123 again. Now I'm going to bar www, and here is our index. I will just modify it. Now if I open my browser and I go to local.example.com, here is my virtual machine working. We have now the virtual machine working as a web server. Okay, now here's the interesting part. I have here my example folder, and I want to map my my code into that folder. So the next thing is to modify the fs tab file. And here is the thing, I have here the share folder and the name is example, so the first thing I have to add here is example, which is the name of the shared resource, and I need to tell the system where it must be mounted, so is here in the example folder. So this is the path I need to use here. Now I have to tell the system which kind of resource this folder is. I'm telling the system this is a VirtualBox as F type, and some additional parameters here. And that's all. Now I have to tell the system what I want to map. So I will map this and this again here, and I will tell the system non-bind, and that's all. I will restart the machine. And here is the whole content the system can see from my host folder. So if I make something here, I will do it graphically to make it more obvious. So I will create a new empty document called hello world. Now I will write something here. Hello world. And if I update here the file list again, what the folder has, I can see the hello world file there, so I will cut its content, and I can see here its content hello world. So whatever I do in my host machine will be reflected into the virtual machine, so there is no need to deal with strange console connections to modify files. Everything can be done here. So I could start an AD here to modify whatever I want. For example, the config for the salt, but I will do this later. There is something else that I need to know, that I need to do in order to have this integrated into the system, so I can show you how to bind this content into the www folder. So I will remove this. It's not there anymore. The next thing is that I need to map this example folder into the var www folder. So to do that, I will create a symbolic link and here is the example folder is mapped now to var www example. So if I go further here, I will see what we have in this folder. Even if I create again here the hello file, I will see that file here. Now I'm going to the Apache folder, and I will create a subsystem folder in the sites enable folder called sites. Oh. Okay, I will copy that from this machine. And this is what the file most looks like. I don't need this anymore, so I will shut it down. Well, everything looks fine here, so I will change everything that says hospital, for example. Okay. But as you can see here, I need to create some additional folders. So these are the files that I need to, the folders I need to create. So probably I will get some troubles when I try to start the site, because the Apache user, doesn't have permissions to write into this folder, so I will make sure I grant access to anybody to write into the logs example folders. So I just simply will set read, writing, and execution permissions for everybody into the logs folder. The uppercase R does mean recursive, so if I do this, I will see that example is also an open resource as well as its parent logs. Now I will write this, and I will restart Apache. And it says everything is okay, so there should be no problem. Okay, it's working. Now it's the thing here is that I have to modify the code. So I will close this, and I will close this, I will close this, and everything is here. And Cake is telling me that I have to change some parameters here, so I'm going to this file, and I have to change these parameters here. So I will write something here. It's not important. I just will make sure its length is the same as the previous one, and also here. Okay. That's it. Okay. We solve a problem, and I have to guarantee that there is a folder where I have your TMP directory is readable. Okay, writing is not properly configured, so to do that I will go to my server again, and I will set a page to enable module rewrite, and I will restart the service again. That's all. This is working. Now I have to define the database connections. To do that, I will copy the default database.php file into a new one called to the database.php, and I will define some things here. So example user, example password, in here example. The idea is that I need to create a test database, but I will avoid that. So I will write here, and having that, these warnings will disappear too. The only thing that I need to complete is the granting access to example user in my system. So I will create a connection using SSH, called example.local. Okay, this is the private key file, so that's enough. I will provide the root password here, and I will test. Okay, here's an error. Okay, everything is okay, so I will connect there. I will create a new database, which should be called example. That's all. And example user. Okay, we'll grant this. Okay, and now I will grant permissions over the example database. Example password. Okay, we have access to the local database. Okay, everything is okay. So that's how you create a virtual machine for local development, hosting the code in the host side and handling the whole environment within the virtual machine.